Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here and sharing your personal stories. Mr. Paap, I'll just start with you. You know, being from Minnesota, you know you're the third largest, Minnesota being the third largest producer of soybeans in the country. It's our farmers who have been planting soybeans well before the current trade disputes have been in place and well before China announced a 25% tariff on U.S. soybeans. So prices for soybeans, I know, are down, what, $1.50 or more, actually, per bushel. They're continuing to drop. You got farmers facing uncertainty, knowing they got to harvest those crops in the fall, but they're not going to have access to the foreign markets that they've come to rely on. You've each shared your perspective on that. I think that that uncertainty that our farmers are facing from these tariffs, it just isn't hindering their ability to provide for their family, but it's hurting the broader community. Projects being put on hold, and it's hurting our economy on a broader perspective. Mr. Paap, let me just ask you, as a fourth-generation farmer, do you think that these tariffs will hinder future generations of farmers from a long-term perspective and make it more difficult for the family farm to be handed down, putting us in a tougher situation for a long-term impact on the farming community?
Mr. Chairman, Congressman Paulson, I think that's a great question. You know, the driveway that Julie and I drove down yesterday on the way to the airport was the same driveway our family used 119 years ago. You know, personally, except for college, in my lifetime, I've only ever lived in 3 houses on 2 farmyards a half a mile from each other. We've got our 5th generation, our son Andy, who's farming half a mile down the road, living in a house that his great-grandfather built, sleeping in the same bedroom his grandfather was born in, as that 5th generation in agriculture. And quite frankly, Julie, we hope they're working on that 6th generation at some time as well. And what we need, what that safety net is trade to continue. You know, as we have young farmers and ranchers wanting to get in, it's hard to get started in agriculture, even as an existing family. And farmers and ranchers are all about sustainability. But the most important sustainability in agriculture with farm families is that generational sustainability, that ability to continue on the next 119 years. And I really worry that we don't have that ability as we're not taking advantages of markets that we've got. You know, we had some great opportunities in TPP. We've chose not to do that, but that doesn't mean the other 11 countries aren't going on ahead without us. So we're really concerned about that. One way to do that is livestock. You know, that's caring for animals. That's the best way for that next generation to get in. We've looked at that. I brought with me today a proposal, that my son did to build a hog barn, okay? But where the prices are today, that's not going to cash flow. That's not going to work. And you'd be surprised how much steel and aluminum is in animal housing as we talk about the costs going up and up. So we really look at trade as that ability to not only survive this next year, but for the next generations to survive as well. What other industry would give up on 95% of their market share, would say, I don't care about that 95%. We really need to work together to see what we can do to keep that next generation involved in the farm if they wish to.
Maybe just to follow up on that, because you said the safety net for a lot of farmers has been trade. Some have said the United States doesn't need to worry about retaliation against agriculture. You talked about it being the tip of the spear, but some have said, look, countries aren't going to want to increase their prices. They're not going to care about decreasing supply through retaliation. Would you agree with that argument?
We have got, we're blessed. We've got the ability to produce more than we need. We need those other countries. We hope we'll have those relationships where we'll continue to be able to trade with them. And again, everybody has to have something in that trade agreement. But we would still urge anybody that will listen that we need to be at the table. We need to have those negotiations because, quite frankly, that not only is our future in the next few months, but it's that next generation's future in agriculture as well.
Mr. Boney, you want to add anything in the last 20 seconds, just to sum up?
Just that, I can second everything Kevin said. We're kind of in the same boat. We're multi-generational as well, farming land that my grandfather started farming in 1930. I have one son there with us. But long term, this is how we've progressed. This is how we've gone forward, is because we've been blessed. Kevin pointed it out so well, but we have to have those trade agreements, whether it's China or whether it's Japan or whatever it is. We need them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.